I'm Laura Rogers, and this is my weekly show, SharePoint Power Hour. Joelle and I have been doing this show for years. I think it's been 6 or 7 years now. And Joelle is not in today. She's dealing with some family things, but I am here. This topic today is about an employee directory, which is a very common ask in SharePoint, something that people want to, do all the time. So the solutions, just if this is your first time at Power Hour, I'm not a programmer. So the solutions that we do in Power Hour are usually pretty no code, low code, fairly simple ways of accomplishing things. And this is a concept that there are several different takes and several different kind of directions that you could go. So employee directories. Now you have a directory. So this is kind of my little rant here. You have a directory. You have Active Directory is the directory that most people have. And that is built into SharePoint, and you have all of your people. Like when you go to Outlook to send an email, that's your directory of people, the list of people that are in your company. So it's kind of frustrating when people want to build a separate list, a SharePoint list, to have an employee directory, but then you have all these multiple places that you would have to keep up your list of people. So it's the best idea, just for maintenance in the long run, to keep it simple and have one list of people and have that be your Active Directory. So I'm going to go over a few different kind of takes on this and some different ways that you can go about it and some challenges. And I'm going to start off with PowerApps. So there is some cool built-in stuff just right there in PowerApps that we're going to dig into. And there's also a little flow trick that I discovered too. So kind of different way, we'll talk about different ways that you could accomplish this, because there are limitations and there are kind of gotchas here and there. So, all right, I'll go ahead and share my screen. And I have do a brand new, I'm at web.powerapps.com, and I'm just going to create a brand new Power App. And so I want you to, you could even possibly follow along on this one. So everybody, hopefully you're in the chat. We use Slack for chat so that this is interactive, so you can ask me questions as we go, and it's live, so you never know what's going to happen. So you all definitely ask me questions over in the chat in Slack as I'm doing this. So, and you could even follow along, because this one's at least a few of the things that I'm going to show you are pretty much built in. So I'm on a new blank Power App, and I just click New Screen and go to People. And this is your employee directory. All right, done. No, so I have just this this is my fake tenant with a bunch of just fake users in it. So I'll just start typing my name here. And so there's my name, there's me, and do Joelle. So I typed a J-O. Let's see, I can do like Alex. So here are the people. This is my employee directory. So literally just 2 clicks and you have an employee directory. Pretty cool, right? All right, so now the thing about this is, so what happens if you click on somebody? If I click on somebody, it adds them to this little picker. So it gives you this ability to add multiple people. So at first I thought, well, what does this do? Like, what is the point of that? I'm not sure why I'm adding people to a list. But then I noticed that, watch this, I go and add another new screen, and it's called email. And so it's another built-in template. So I'll go to my screen 2, I'll just rename this CR directory. And then this will be SCR email. And I can just delete this screen 1. I don't really need that anymore. All right, so I'll go preview this, and I'll find myself again. And get a couple of people here. So then what it's doing is, I haven't put any kind of navigation from one screen to the next yet, but it's using the same collection of people. So technically I could, this is filling in my to box, so I could say, test and send a message and just hit the send button, and it is going to send these people, immediately send these two people this email that I'm writing. So this email screen ties into the directory screen. Most likely, there's another one called meeting. We'll see if the meeting one does the same. All right. So yeah, same thing. So this one is a meeting screen. So this is all just, connected to your Outlook and your user directory. And it's automatically adding the data connections for me. So this is, I'm actually creating a meeting invite, and I can even look at people's schedules in here. Now again, this is my demo environment, so we don't have anything on our schedules, but so there's my sending a meeting invite too. So I'm going to rename this SCR meeting. So what this does is lets me pick the people, and then I can create a little button. Let's see, like a little email button. Where's my email? Oh, there it is. Mail. And get white. And then I can just make this navigate. So on select, this email button is going to navigate me to my email screen. All right, so then I pick the people from the directory, and then I go to the email screen to write them a message. Or I can do another button, and I'll do the meeting one. So I'll find like a little calendar. Is this pretty awesome? It's pretty easy, right? Calendar there. And this one, I'm going to say I want to navigate to the meeting screen. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so then, so I'm on my people screen. I pick a couple of people. I can get rid of these. Let's see. I'll pick this person. You got to go start over each time and pick another person. And then I can go click email, and then I can send these two people an email. I can also, create a back button if I want to, them to be able to go back to the directory. All right, so that is some basics about just how the directory works out of the box. You do have to start typing a name. You have to start typing something. Now, the way this works is this is searching users, just their names for whatever you type. So if I type like IT here, it's not going to find all the people in the IT department, like in the department field. It's just looking at the names when it's doing this, unfortunately. So this gallery is the gallery of people. So what it's doing is it's saying if, let's split this out a little bit. So if basically something is typed in the search box, then do this command Office 365 users.search user. So in the search user, you're doing, you're searching for a search term, and that searches just their name. And it's going to just tell you how many it's going to return. So I could change this to like 100 is the max. It's the maximum list of people it's going to return with this .search user is 100, absolutely max. So unfortunately, I don't have 100 people in my tenant, but you could make it so that it would return more than 15. You can tweak that. Now it's also doing, what's it doing in the gallery? So it's showing this item.display name, and then this item.user principal name. I could change it instead of user principal name, mail. Those two are usually the same thing. See, and then I could also change like this email address button. I could make it so that on select, it could, navigate you to the email screen or something like that. But on select, it's going to add somebody to, by default, it's going to add somebody to that collection. Now, some other things that you can add, I can go insert another label here. And let's just see what other fields I can put in here. I got company name. So this is all just the user profile fields here. So I can put department here. I might want to put department like over here somewhere. And I could do their job title. So maybe next to their name, I'll do an ampersand, comma, space, ampersand, and then this item dot job title. So look at that. So now it just puts a comma. Now you could put job title in another sort of column like I did the department, but this would add their job title to the end of, like, right after their name. So it definitely helps to have an Active Directory that is accurate and has all, stays up to date. So yeah, it automatically will add Office 365 users and as the data source when you create this screen using this screen template. Okay, so I showed you how you can kind of add some other fields to this to give it some more information. Another thing we can do is, and what I did for one of my customers, is I added a little pop-up that you can get more information about that person, to show a little detail screen about that person. So what you can do is I'll just go insert another icon in this gallery, and I'll find the one that's got the little more thing here, the little 3 dots. So I'm not messing with what it does just out of the box when you click to select one of these items. But I am going to say add this button so that if they click this, it will have a little pop-up. So I'll go ahead and save that. And this one is more time consuming, so this is another copy of the same thing. So I did the exact same thing to kind of get to this point. And then, so this is what it could look like. So it's kind of messy because I didn't spend too much time working on it. I just did that right before I went live. But that's how you can, another thing you can do is do a pop-up box to give you more information about the person that you click on. So I've got their job title up here, and phone number, and a little button that actually will call them. And you can also make this a hyperlink. You can make the email address a hyperlink to open up an email, as opposed to going to another screen that does an email. All right, so how did I do that? Now that takes a little bit of time, but just to make it look pretty. But what I did with that is I created, I'll go ahead and just preview this again and then go back out. So I created this little grouping here that's got a blue label here that's just a big square, a label called employee name, a label for employee phone, a label for their department, a label for their job title, a little X. And then these ones with the rounded edges, I created those as buttons just because I wanted them to look like little pretty buttons, have those rounded corners. And then there's my icon for the phone and the button for their department. Okay, so how did I do this? So all this is just, this is a very common concept in PowerApps, is to have a variable to make things appear and disappear. So I'm gonna use what they already have in here though for when they get the information about the selected user. So let's take a look. When I click somebody's name just in the default settings they had to select somebody, what is it doing? Like, where is it putting that person's name? So on select, what is it doing just out of the box? Oh, let me go to the list of people again. Okay, so let's go look at the on select here. So this is doing all this stuff. All right, so all at the same time. Concurrent means it's going to do all these following things at the same time. So it's setting this variable called selected user to this item, and this item is just this whole record, this whole row. Stuart, the list of what AD attributes are accessible, an easy way to look at that right when you're in here is just to do that dot like I showed, and it just will show the list of them. And that's just one way to quickly see what they all are in there. But you can also go look at the actual variable that it's collecting, so which is what I'm about to show you. So what it's doing is it's setting a variable to this item, that's this whole row, and then it's resetting that little text search box. And if it's saying, if they didn't already collect this person, collect this person that they've selected, add them to this collection called My People. So My People is what it's showing, those little blue rectangles that it's showing. That's the My People collection. Well, I don't want the My People collection when I just want to show one person's pop-up box, but I may as well just use this same exact variable that they're using when they set selected user. So I can say grab set selected user, and let me go back over to my other, this is my one that I haven't done anything on yet. And this little ellipsis, and I could say on select, I could say set selected user to this item. So what does that do? So I'll just click on Alex here. You can't really tell that it's doing anything because all it's doing is setting a variable when I click this ellipsis. But let's go look at our variables. So this is selected user right here. So this, and it's kind of funky the way you have to go look at a record variable. You have to click on the name of the little purple rectangle, and then you have to click the purple rectangle again to get to the details. Now this is the whole record of every single piece of information that this particular command is giving us back. Notice there are some things that it's not giving us. I don't have the person's manager in here. I don't have their office. Oh, I have office location. Let's see. I do have their job title. But anyway, that's a list of what all that it's telling you. I don't have a couple of things like their birthday and anniversary. So this search users command that's giving you this list of all these people is not necessarily absolutely everything. So that's what I want to talk a little bit more about that. So when I'm clicking this button, then and I'll just take this sort of pop-up box that I already created in my other one, and maybe I can just copy and paste it over this thing. I'm going to take this whole group and copy it and go to my other Power App and paste it and see what happens. I don't want to paste it in my gallery. Maybe not. Copy, paste. Oh, I did paste it from PowerApp to PowerApp a little while ago. I'm not sure why it's not doing it. Control C, Control V. No, anyway. Oh yeah, there it goes. Okay, so it pasted it. So here's my little pop-up box that it pasted over here. So now it's not showing though, because I haven't set this variable yet. So the other thing that we would do in addition to setting the variable of the selected user is set the variable and I'll just call it I call it var pop, and it's just the pop-up, and I set it to true. So then when I set, I'm collecting who that person is, and then I'm setting the var pop to true, and then that's what makes everything appear, because the visible property is equal to var pop. So, and the visible property of, all these little things is the whole thing is going to appear because I have it all grouped together. All right. So that is just showing some, those exact fields that I showed you. It's just saying this one is concatenating together department with that variable dot department. And so you could do something like, let me take this one. I'll just insert another label. And this label could be instead of it saying text, so I have to tap into that variable that they already had. Why is it not? What do they call it? God. I usually don't begin mine with an underscore. Oh, selected user. User, and then when you do a dot here, that's what's gonna let you pick from all the different fields in that are stored in that variable. So this is where I could put their office location or something else. So selected user dot office location, which I don't have one, so it's not showing anything. All right. So another thing that I did is the phone number. This little phone. So the phone number is actually stored. Bruce says, did I set the location of the pop-up box? I just, when I pasted in there, it just pasted. So oops. No, I didn't really move it and put it anywhere nice, did I? Let's see, I'm gonna grab that whole thing. It's not giving me like the little handles on the edge to grab the whole thing. Isn't that funny? Let's see, let's squish it down. There. I have all these little fields. This is why it's kind of time consuming, because I have all these fields, locations relative to each other in here. So if I move the whole thing around, they all kind of stay together. So yeah. Okay, well, we're going to go over the birthday and anniversary stuff, Jeremy, too. So we got half an hour left. So that part is time consuming, putting all those little boxes relative to each other and all that stuff. But let's go look at, I want to go look at something with the phone number real quick. Business phones. Is business phones... Yeah, see, business phones is a sort of a subtable, because in Active Directory, this is structured where you could have more than one potentially. So business phones, and is there another one? I think that's business phones, and no, that's the only one. So with business phones, I had to do it a little bit different. I did a concat. So I'm basically saying for all of the phone numbers in this selected user.business phones, for all the values of those, I'm concatenating them together with a space in between them. So this is what I'm concatenating, and then this is what I'm putting in between the things that I concatenate. So that's because that particular field is a little weird. Okay, so this, clicking this little X will set the var pop back to false. So clicking the X sets var pop back to false, and then clicking this ellipsis makes it pop up again. All right, so now what about, so that's the frustrating thing about this Office 365.search user, is that all you get to search is their name. So there, with this .search user, there is not a way to just say show everybody, automatically just show everybody, or show everybody in a particular department. So because remember, there's that limit of 100 no matter what you do. So what, kind of what I wanted to accomplish was to just have a directory of people that you could show on, say, a department's page and show everybody that's in that department. But there isn't a way to do that with that functionality. Now, thinking about, you can tap into Azure Active Directory. That's one of the connectors you can use. But a lot of people don't have access to that, like those of us that are just this sort of power user role. We're not necessarily Azure admins or global admins like me at, a lot of my customers logging into their tenants. I'm not a global admin. I don't have access to Azure Active Directory. So kind of the direction I'm going with what I'm talking about now in Power Hour is just assuming that you're working with what you have, with just being able to tap into Office 365 users and not be able to necessarily go get the whole directory of people straight using the Azure Active Directory connector. So let's go look at what some of those Office 365 users little options are. So let me go, I'm just gonna stick a label on here randomly and just go look. Office 365 users I have direct reports, I have manager, I can get my profile, I can get relevant people, and search user, trending documents, user photo, and user profile. User profile needs a specific profile. So user profile and my profile is just the logged in user. User profile and my profile are just, you have to tell it specifically what user that you want. So let's go do something with this. Let me just escape out of here. If I click this button, I'm not going to mess with kind of this variable that I'm already setting here. I'm just going to add another one. So I can say set, actually I can collect maybe. I don't know how much of a difference it's going to make. I'll just do since it's just one record, there, my profile. So I'll just do var search user. My profile is usually just for the logged in user. So I'll just do var search user to Office 365 users dot user profile. I'm just using the version 2 one. And then this is where I have to tell it what specific user whose profile am I getting. Now in this case, I'm in a gallery, and the gallery does know, it already has the information about like the email address of the person that I'm clicking on. Since I'm in the context of the gallery when I'm clicking this button, that's where it's getting these fields from down here. Let me maximize this. So this is where it could go do the Office 365 user profile to go get that whole profile of the person I click on. So let's go see what that looks like. So I'll just click this, and not only did it do the pop-up box, but let's go look at this new variable we got. Not collections, variables. Okay, here it is. So here's this new variable. Yes, I think typically I like to use the V2. I usually try to do that one first, unless sometimes they're maybe still in development, so they don't quite work right, but I usually try that one first. So let's go look at what var search user gives us. That gives me, a whole bunch more information, like about me, birthday, business phone, city, country, department, blah, 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 hire date. And then, so this gives me their full profile with all that about me, school, skills, and all that stuff in their Active Directory profile. It gives me a lot more than the search users one does, but I can't just, I can, but it's not efficient to just try and iterate through every single person in the whole company and go get their full profile one at a time. You could, but think about, that's not really scalable for bigger companies. So you don't want to have to go collect or anything and go get every single person's profile and pull it into the Power App. So I did figure out a way. Now the problem with so kind of what frustrated with me is that I don't want to have to keep a separate list of users. That's really frustrating. I want to just be able to tap straight into this Office 365 users, but it's only going to give, there's not a way to query it by department or to query it by birthday or anything. You can't query it by anything except by typing the person's name here, because that's all that search users does. It's pretty frustrating, right? So let me show you one thing that I came up with. You could still use PowerApps, but let me go over to SharePoint here. Go to Flow. So I figured out a way to, let me flip over to this. Okay, so while I pull this up, I'll just talk. So I figured out a way to create a temporary sort of directory of people as a SharePoint list and run a flow that just populates it. And you could just have the flow like run on a schedule or something like that, that would do it, once a week or something like that. But I did figure out a way to populate a SharePoint list. You don't want people to ever have to go, keep the list of people up to date in both places, right? So you wouldn't be managing this separate list. You would just be having this automated flow populate it. But then once you have this list, it gives you, you could have all the fields and you can have all the data, and you can have any kind of interface to it, like have a Power App that is filtered by department that uses this list as the back end, or have a Power App that shows everybody's birthday today and uses this list as a back end. So I created this list. So that's, again, it seems kind of frustrating that I have to kind of resort to that, but I don't know. What do you all think? Any opinions on directories, and have you come across challenges like that about being conflicted about, do you get people wanting to have a directory, or people going around creating a SharePoint list? All right, so watch this. So I'll show you kind of the result, and then I'll show you how I built it. Here's my directory. Let's go look at what fields I have. I just basically created this directory with, wait, that's not the one I want. I have one that I created the whole, there we go. I'll go delete everybody out of here. There we go. Okay, so I have just kind of, like a contact list with the last name, first name, company, business phone, home phone, just some of those basic columns. And just to show this as an example, so I'll show you the flow in a second. So I'm creating the CEO. CEO is Garth Ford. So last name is Ford. And blah, 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 blah. I'll just ignore some of that. Okay. Okay, so I created the CEO. So, and I'm interested in hearing more of your opinions about employee directories, and see if you have the same kind of frustrations that I've had with telling people not to go creating a bunch of separate directories everywhere. I just hit F5 and refresh the page. So I created one person in this SharePoint list, and it pulled in basically the whole rest of, I only have like 25 people in this fake company directory, but it populated the whole rest of the directory. So I started with the CEO, and then it went and got his direct reports. And then for each direct report, it got their direct reports. So it went direct reports, and it went down the tree, and it just populated the entire SharePoint list. So, oh yeah, I didn't share my screen. Thanks, Lisa. Okay, so let me do this again. I'll just delete everything in the list. You didn't get to see the magic happen. I'll do it one more time. Okay, so I just click to create a new, this is just a contact list. And then, you can fill in all these other fields. The email address is the important one. So I save Garth Fort. So what it's doing is I just hit F5, is it's going to Garth Fort and getting all his direct reports. And then it's getting all of their direct reports. And then it's basically for every single direct report, it's grabbing all of the people under them. So it does help to have an Active Directory that's correct and populated, but of course now this time I run it and it doesn't do anything. I probably broke it by deleting all those items and then running it again or something. That's so funny. I wasn't sharing my screen and then I did it and then it worked, and then I shared my screen and I did it and it didn't work. All right, I'm going to do it one more time. And I'm still going to go show you the flow either way. So yeah. Okay. Garth. The important one is the email address. I might have mistyped it last time too. No, Garth F. Oh, thanks. Yeah. Think it's correct now? And there's a delay too, so there's like a 10-second delay from when I do stuff and you all see it. Lisa says, can you restore from the recycle bin? Most likely, yeah. Oh, there we go. So as long as your Active Directory is correct and everybody has the manager field filled in, then this will work. It just populated the entire list of my entire directory of people. So all this flow just runs on create. So it's only runs on create for this list. So when I create the CEO, it goes through to the CEO and gets their direct reports. And then for every direct report, it creates a new item. So when each of those people get created, it gets their direct reports. So then it just naturally goes down the tree, and each item that gets created gets their direct reports. And then once you don't have any more direct reports, it just stops. There aren't any more items to go get. So that's how, that's my whole list of people. So when an item's created in this list, I do this action called get direct reports. And so I just go get whoever, just the email address. Like I said, the email address is important. Yes, this is Delve. Delve is it's all the same thing. Yeah. Delve is the AD directory, the SharePoint directory. It's all the same. Yeah. So yeah, it only works if you have your manager field populated. So what I want to do is I just go get all the direct reports of the CEO. And then, I want to make sure, I'm just going to filter it a little bit. I want to make sure not to go retrieve anyone whose account is not enabled. So and I'm just going to actually I'll delete what I'm doing here and rebuild it for you so you can see what I'm doing. So I use the get direct reports of the person I just created. You can't have co-CEOs in Active Directory. You only have one manager field. So it's just based on the manager field in Active Directory. So everybody would have to have a manager in there. There isn't any other way to fill in that field. So, I mean, it's possible that your company has co-CEOs, but Azure Active Directory only has one manager field with one person that you can select in it. So, yeah. All right, so I just want to filter this list of people that it gets so that it only gets people that whose account is enabled. So I'll just do a filter array, and then my array is just the value of basically all these items that goes and gets. So I'm going to say account enabled is equal to true. And you could do other filters on that data too if you want to filter it down, narrow it down. And then I'm going to go to SharePoint. It's kind of annoying that SharePoint isn't in this list anymore. Did you all notice that? That just this default list of all the actions to pick from, somehow SharePoint's not one of the main ones anymore as of the last week or so. Then I'll just do create. And again, you know, this is not going to be the solution for everyone. It's only going to work if you've got your manager field populated, but it is a solution for getting a list of people, filtering a list of people, and putting them in SharePoint. So I'll just say, I'll put it in this directory. Now I created it as a contact list, and contacts list aren't going to be listed in your list name. So I actually have to type the name of it, which still works fine. All right, so then here are all the fields to populate. So let's go add. I'm actually going to add a couple more. So I'm going to save this flow and just, last name is required. So let's do and it does this given name and surname thing. So my surname is my last name. So notice that as soon as I do the create item action and I put something in here, it automatically puts it in a loop, and it's going to loop through everybody in that filtered array. All right, I'm trying to make sure I got all the questions. Yeah. I was so excited when I figured this out the other day. I was just like, oh my God, look, it just when I saw the list just populate with all these names, it's like magic. Okay. Okay. So then I've got my list over here, and I'll go add. I'm going to delete everybody out of it again. And go to the list settings, and I'll add the birthday, and anniversary, all right, so then I've got, let's make sure everybody's gone. Nope, still got a couple of people in there. Okay, now the list is, so basically you'd have to have another flow that just gets triggered maybe once a week that would go get all the items in this list and delete them all, and then recreate that CEO item that would populate the whole list again, right? Okay, so I'll go edit the flow again. Okay, so for each item, it should have my new fields in here now. Yeah, okay. So this is kind of tedious. So first name is going to be, that's the given name, and I have to get it out of this purple. The purple is the filter. I don't want to get it the orange, because the orange is the data before it got filtered. So I got to get my given name, company, business phone. Let's see. It's got mobile phone, it's got business phone, home phone, mobile phone, and I'm not going to worry about all the phone numbers. Home phone, email address is important because it's based off of that. So I got to use mail here. See, they just have kind of different names, so it's kind of annoying. Department, birthday, that's easy. They're narrowed down to just the date ones. Anniversary is hire date. Full name is the display name. Job title. mobile number, blah, 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 city. So yeah, on and on and on. Okay, so then I'll save that. Now this is actually going to warn me. So it knows that this could result in a loop. It's like, hey, wait a minute, you're creating items in this list and you're triggering this when items get created in the same list. Are you sure you want to do this? So it's not going to stop me from saving it, but it is going to let me know to kind of be careful. So that's good. So now it's saving it, and I'll go back out. So let's go do it again. And I can just hit save. Hopefully I didn't misspell it again. Birthday and hire dates aren't in AD natively. Yeah, how would, so is that in Azure Active Directory though? Yeah, where would they enter in the birthday and hire dates? Is that just in the SharePoint profile? That's a good question. I wonder if I have time to go. Let's see if I have time to go look. This is just, you know, like I said, my test tenant. So, come on. Well, let's just go refresh this. Okay, so now we've got all this information and, you know, the new columns that I added. And a lot, you know, a lot of this isn't filled in because this is just my test tenant, but that's all your data. All right, and then let's go look in admin. So Jeremy, you added those to your schema. Did you do that in online? Because I don't think you could edit the schema in online. All right, so I know the birthdays and anniversaries aren't in this active users list. Maybe they're in Exchange. Maybe they're in Azure Active Directory. I'm curious now. So we got recipients. That's the pain point. Oh, your birthday would be manually populated via your SharePoint profile. Okay, so let's go to my profile in here. My office profile. So each person, that's when you're editing your My Profile. Each person would have to have typed that in there. Update profile. And then, oh yeah, so it's got my birthday in here. So let's go see if it pulled, for my information, let's go see if it pulled my birthday in. No, it didn't. That's weird. So no, it didn't pull my birthday from my profile, even though I clearly have my birthday in my profile. So yeah, it's a great point. I hadn't really dig that deep into those specific fields. So here is all, oh man, this screen is so slow. So here's a lot of this stuff in their contact information. That's what office they're in, and you know, their address and stuff like that. This is where the manager field gets set. But I definitely don't have, see in AD, when you're directly in Active Directory, you actually have a whole tab that has like extra information like their birthday and stuff. If I go to Azure Active Directory, users, that's not my real phone number, but that is my real birthday. So you can send me a present. Okay, so here's their profile in Azure Active Directory. Let's see. All users, I'll go to mine. identity. So it's got a lot of the same stuff. I just don't see. Yeah, I just don't see that particular set of information. Interesting. Well, yeah, good to know. Oh, minors and consent. That's an interesting one too. Then we've also got the SharePoint profile. So we'll go to SharePoint. All right, and then so we've got. They actually noticed that they have this classic features thing now. Which, remember a couple of weeks ago when I did the beginning SharePoint administration sort of theme for Power Hour, and I went over everything in here. This didn't exist then, so that they've actually added that screen that now takes you to all these specific classic features. So here are the user properties and profiles in the SharePoint profiles. Now these should be all combined to be one thing though, like the Azure one, the Exchange, and the one in the users list in Office 365. So it should all automatically sort of be synchronized together, but apparently the birthday and the anniversary got left out. So this one is, this is really old school, right? This is not something that people would ever go to nowadays. So that's all my stuff that I filled in my profile. So here's my birthday. Yeah, and that's all that other stuff that, you know, when people go modify my profile, that's where it is. It's just not making it over to, anyway. Okay, so then another thing you could do in this directory is, instead of having that list of people as your directory, you could do that SharePoint list. Now you could create a whole new app for that. You don't have to use like all this stuff that they have built in, but they have, you know, this sort of interface is already there for you. You could kind of tweak it if you wanted to. I've got, where's my list? I lost it. Oh, here it is. That's the site that I'm going to. And then my, the one called directory. Notice again, I created as a contact list just because I was lazy and didn't want to create all those fields. So it's not listed here because it's not a custom list. So I'll just do directory like that. All right, so now I've got my directory, and let me just copy this whole people screen, and actually let me just create a new one. So I'll just do another new screen and do people. And then instead of showing in this gallery, instead of showing the person somebody's searching for, let me just make it appear. It's going to show from that SharePoint list. So for items here, if is blank, I still want to do if is blank. I just don't want to do Office 365 users anymore. I'll do my directory. If it's blank, if it's not blank, basically show the directory. Okay, so this is the whole directory. So now, but all the fields are now called something different. So it just kind of randomly picked some fields to show in here. So I can do like, let's display name. Oh, full name. So that's going to be full name. And then, so now, see, now it shows the full names. And then that is all confused. The button, the on select, is now all confused because it's, you know, was based on that collection that it was doing. So now we've got the email address field, which is in here somewhere. Let's see, the subtitle. With this item dot email address. See, so now we're kind of getting somewhere. And then it also has, I'm not collecting that person's photo in that SharePoint list, but I still could reference the image in a similar way. I would just have to, I don't really have time to tweak the code, but I would just go reference the way they did it in the other one. So then now I've got my whole list here, and I actually don't even have to search for it. I can just show this whole list of people and filter it by department, and just say, I could just say items, directory, filter, directory, where department equals IT or something like that. And there we go. So now I have a filtered list of just IT people, which I couldn't do with the Office 365 users one. So this is something that you could have one app and have a drop-down box maybe, and that lets you pick the department and have it filtered by according to what they pick in the drop-down box, or have a screen in your app that says, you know, the birthdays today, and have it filtered. So even if you just have this SharePoint list in a single place in, you know, just one SharePoint list in your whole environment that you're basing this Power App off of, as long as you give everybody read access to that SharePoint list, you can display this Power App anywhere using the Power App web part. Just display it on any site in anywhere in your environment, and just use that same one list. So yeah. Any last questions about this concept? Pretty interesting. I don't think it's anybody's birthdays today, but I could say like birthday. Birthday's not a date field? It seemed to be a date field. Because when I picked it in the flow, Eileen, when I was in the flow and I was filling in this birthday, notice that it only showed me, because this is a date field in SharePoint, it only lets me pick from things that are date fields from this array over here. So I think it knows that they're both date fields, that it's structured like a date. Cool. All right, I'm glad you all liked it. Oh, and also we have, we did a whole other Power Hour about this, but this is something that could be tied in to the whole directory concept, is the org chart. So this is a PowerApps org chart that I have that is for sale. Put that in the link in the chat window too. And it's just an app that we've already built that you could buy and download, and then have all this. And so you could have your directory list of people, and then when you click on a person, maybe you could have it take you to this screen that's got more details and the whole org tree, like based on that person. So you could kind of add on to that too. But that is also available. I'll flip back over to here. All right. Thanks everybody for coming. That was a fun one. Not as many technical issues as last time. Shirley says, what about the email and meeting menu? Well, you would just add those to it. Well, you'd have to collect those. So what it's doing, Shaylee, is it's collecting them as you click on people. It's putting them in this collection. Oops. You could keep that concept, but you'd have to just collect them into that same collection that it's doing when you pick people over here. So I click somebody and it adds them to the collection, and then I click somebody else and it adds them to the collection. So you would make your on select, you could make it also do that. And so this collection is called My People, and that's where it's putting those people. So then it's using the My People collection when it's, when you go to the other screens, they're all referencing that same My People collection. So you would just have to kind of make sure you're using a similar structure and don't get it all confused. But oh yeah, I forgot to show my screen. Yeah, it's show you what I was just saying. So it's when I click on the people to select them, I go collections, and it's this My People collection. So that's where it's putting them. So you could add that collect function that it's doing just out of the box in that template. You could use that same syntax for your own and keep using that concept. It's just going to have different fields when it collects them. So pay attention to the different structure, or collect them in like a more manual way by doing a collect and putting each field inside of your collect and populating them in using that exact same structure that they already have. So yeah, not enough bandwidth to go over all that in this power hour, but as long as you can kind of, know your way around PowerApps and tap into what they're doing in there, you'll be able to figure it out. I also have another live PowerApps and Flow online class coming up in September. It's 5 days. It's advanced, 3 days advanced PowerApps and 2 days of advanced Flow. And so that is also out on iwmentor.com. Check it out. And I will see you all next week. Thanks for coming. Over and out.